This is the readout for Chapter 2.0, which is the Intro to the Geometry unit. In this chapter, we will look at a few different sections on different topics to intro us into geometry. And we start with metric and imperial units of length. Use conversion factors to change imperial units to metric units or vice versa. And here we have a conversion table. 1 inch, for example, is an imperial length, and that's equal to, in the metric, 2.54 centimeters. A foot is 30.48 centimeters, and so on. Let's use this conversion table to convert two examples. Example 1. Convert 5 1/4 inches into centimeters. Now, 2 steps for this. First, if we're given a unit of length with a fraction, let's change it to a decimal so we're able to more easily utilize it in a calculator. 1/4, 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So 5 1/4 is 5.25. Again, to do that in the calculator, take 1 divided by 4, that's 0.25. And there's a full 5 inches, so the ones column will be a 5, altogether 5.25. Now 5 1/4, or 5.25 inches, into centimeters, we look at our conversion table and find the conversion between inches and centimeters. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters, so 5.25 inches, to change that to centimeters, we will be multiplying by the conversion factor of 2.54. So in a calculator, 5.25 multiplied by 2.54 gives us an answer of 13.335 centimeters. Let's round that a little bit to a simpler 13.3 centimeters for our final answer. 5 1/4 inches is equal to approximately 13.3 centimeters. Example 2. Convert 7.3 kilometers to miles. Find our conversion factor from kilometers to miles. And 1 kilometer is equal to 0.6214 miles, right here. So whatever unit we're given, in this case we're given the information on kilometers, in the table make sure that's the unit with the 1 beside it. Because over here on the right hand side we also have miles to kilometers, but this is based on 1 mile. If they're giving us the information on kilometers, we want the conversion factor based on 1 kilometer. Now 1 kilometer is 0.6214 miles, so 7.3 kilometers will be, well, multiplied by this factor, 0.6214. And in a calculator, 7.3 times 0.6214 comes out to be equal to 4.53622 miles. And we can round that to 4.5 miles. So 7.3 kilometers is approximately the same as 4.5 miles. So that's converting imperial and metric units of length. There are some practice questions here for you to try. Our next subchapter is perimeter and area. The perimeter of a figure is the distance around it, whereas the area of a figure is the number of square units needed to cover it. And we have 5 of our starting shapes, each with the formula for perimeter and area. So a very classic shape, the rectangle. The perimeter of the rectangle is the 4 lengths added together. Now 2 of the lengths labeled L for length are the same, and the other 2 labeled W for width are also the same. So we could write perimeter as length plus width, or alternatively we could write it as 2 of each, the length and the width together. So 2, and then in brackets the length plus width. The area of a rectangle is just length times width. A parallelogram. A parallelogram has the perimeter of its 4 sides again. In this case, perimeter is labeled in terms not of length and width, but of B for base and the side length C on the angle. So b plus c plus c, or similarly 2b's plus 2c's, or 2 and then in brackets b plus c. And the area is also, instead of length times width, it's labeled with different letters, base times height, which is essentially the same thing. A triangle has 3 side lengths, so its perimeter will be side length 1 plus 2 plus 3. In this case, that's labeled a plus b plus c. Now the area of a triangle, we need the base and the height of the triangle. The area will be base times height, but then divided by 2. Area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Another way to write that would be 1/2 base times height, or even 0.5 base times height. Some more complex shapes. A trapezoid has 4 sides. Its perimeter will be those 4 sides added together, a plus b plus c plus d. The area of a trapezoid has the formula a plus b in brackets, and a plus b are the 2 parallel sides in this drawing, the top side and the base, the bottom. A plus b in brackets, then multiplied by the height. So not only do we need the lengths for perimeter for a trapezoid, but for the area we actually need the height between the 2 parallel sides. A plus b in brackets multiplied by height and then divided by 2. Lastly, a circle. Now a circle is different because it doesn't have straight edge sides. It's the curved circumference. Instead of P for perimeter, we use the uppercase C. The perimeter of a circle we call the circumference. And the circumference of a circle is given by the formula pi times d. Now first, before we look at that, let's talk about the characteristics of a general circle. A circle has the circumference, which is its perimeter, as we said. D stands for diameter, which is the length right across, all the way across the center of the circle that passes through the center. The radius is represented by lowercase r, which is half that distance, or the distance from the center to just the edge of the circle. So when we talk about perimeter, or circumference rather, the equation is pi times d. So d is the diameter, and pi is a constant. Pi is 3.14 approximately. It has decimals after that, 3.14159, and so on. In a calculator, you might have a pi button. You should have a pi button. You can use 3.14, or to get a more accurate value, use that pi button, which fills in more decimals. Another way to write the circumference is, instead of writing pi times d, pi times 2 times r, which is the same because 2 times r, or 2 times the radius, is the same length of the diameter. So both pi times d, or 2 pi r, will give you the circumference around the circle. The area of a circle is given by the formula area is equal to pi r squared. Pi times r squared. So for this you need the radius. Now when doing pi r squared, make sure you follow BEDMAS and square the radius first and then multiply by pi. So practice examples. Try to find the perimeter and area of some given figures. And next we have metric and imperial units of capacity, which is similar to our converting between metric and imperial units of length. Our conversion chart here is measuring imperial to metric and metric to imperial capacity. A capacity being how much liquid a container can hold, the volume of a container. Imperial measures of capacity are fluid ounces, pints, quarts, and gallons. Metric measures of capacity are usually just milliliters and liters themselves. You don't use centiliters very often. So we have 8 conversions: fluid ounces to milliliters, pints to liters, quarts to liters, gallons to liters, and then milliliters to fluid ounces, liters to pints, liters to quarts, liters to gallons. This will work the same way as converting imperial and metric lengths. Examples: convert each measure. 8 gallons, convert that to liters. So find our conversion factor. 1 gallon is equal to 4.546 liters. That is what we will be multiplying by. So 8 gallons multiplied by the conversion factor 4.546 on a calculator is equal to 36.368. And that can be rounded to 36.4 if we are sticking with the trend of rounding to the nearest 1 decimal. So 8 gallons is equal to approximately 36.4 liters. Secondly, convert 170 milliliters of water to fluid ounces. Find our conversion from milliliters to fluid ounces. It's in the top of the right-hand side of this conversion table. The conversion factor is 0.0352. That's what we will multiply by. 170 times 0.0352 on a calculator is equal to 5.984, and we can round that to 6.0. And the short form for fluid ounces is FL and then OZ for ounces. So 170 milliliters is equal to approximately 6.0 fluid ounces.